Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to another video here at the Armory. I'm Squirrel, and today we're just going to talk about how a firearm works when it comes to pistols. Eventually we're going to get into rifles here soon enough, but I just figured I'd talk about just the basic ins and outs of what the mechanisms on a firearm will do. So I've got two firearms right here on the table. Both of these have been safety checked and they are completely safe to use. So the first one that we're going to take a look at is my personal favorite, the 1911 45. So there's a couple features on this firearm that is not on the other, and we'll talk about that here in a short moment. But I'm going to go ahead and send the firearm slide forward. So the basic terminology of a firearm is there are several things with their own name. Right here is called the slide. The slide is what houses the barrel on the inside. This is the barrel right here. And that, when slide is forward, is what houses the barrel right here. Here you have your sights right here on the end. This is called the rear post sight. This is the front post sight. This right here is called the hammer. The hammer is what will strike when you've pulled the trigger, is what will strike the firing pin right here, which then hits the back of the primer and launches the round outside of the gun. So, hammer, trigger. This is also what you call a grip safety right here. So in order for you to pull the trigger, you have to depress the grip safety and you pull the trigger, which then sends the hammer forward to hit the firing pin. There's also a couple other features right here. The grip right here is obviously called the grip or the butt of the gun. So there's also a few mechanisms right here. So right here, you have this little thumb safety that you push up in order to keep the firearm from being fired. And then in order to make sure that the firearm will fire, you got to depress the safety right here. And then we'll just do a quick safety check. There is no round inside the chamber. So then what you can do is you hold the firearm and then pull the trigger. The hammer went forward, and thusly, if this gun was loaded, you would have shot a round in that scenario. You also have a magazine release button right here, which means here's the magazine. You can see that is clearly empty. You would then take the magazine and place it into the mag well right in here. And then you would make sure that it's seated properly in there. And then you would hit this little button right here. And then out comes the magazine. And then, lastly, right down here on the bottom of the gun is called the frame. And this is what will house the trigger and the springs inside of here. This is called the mainspring right here. And this little notch right here is called the slide lock and or slide release. So I will demonstrate this for you guys real quick. So the slide release is engaged, which holds the slide back to indicate that the firearm is empty and you need to chamber a new magazine into it. Now, in order to disengage the slide release, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can either just push it down, or you can pull back on the firearm and the slide release will come down and the slide will go forward. So that is the 1911 right here. That is what we call a hammer fired pistol. The next one right here is called the Glock 19. As you can clearly see, it is empty, no magazine, and there's nothing down the barrel. This is what we call a striker fire pistol. Striker fire is meaning that the firing pin is inside the slide right here and there's no exposed hammer. In order to fire this, you would just need to press the trigger right here, and there is a safety mechanism inside this trigger right here. So in order for you to pull this trigger correctly, you actually have to stick your full finger into the gun. You depress the trigger safety right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's just this little tab right here inside the firearm. But once you have depressed it, then, and once again, quick safety check, nothing inside. You have just now engaged the striker, which would have sent the firing pin forward, and hit the round and would have sent it downrange. For the Glock, you have your mag release right here in the same location as the 1911. So it drops freely. And here is the slide, here's the slide release, slide lock for it. So right there you can see that it's engaged. Pretty much the same function. If you want to disengage it, you will press it down or pull back on the slide. So I'll push this one down for you. It slams forward with quite a bit of force. Also, this little notch right here, and also on the other side, is the takedown mechanism. So this gun is empty, so we're going to show you something real quick. So you pull back on the slide ever so slightly, and then you pull down on these takedown pins, and there you have a disassembled firearm. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to go into on a disassembly of a firearm, so we're going to save that for another video. Obviously, you've got your front post sight and your rear post sight. One part that I forgot to mention was the guide spring that is inside both of these firearms. It's a different mechanism in both of them and how they are housed, but it is still the same part. It's a guide spring. So thank you guys for watching this little quick video. I hope this helps explain what you correctly call the parts on a firearm. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming down the pipe. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. And remember, shoot straight and shoot safe. Have a good day.